What's up, YouTube? FM here. I want to give you my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And I want to be clear about this. This is top 10 of all time across all genres. So there may be some movies that aren't on my top 10 and you might wonder why they're not. Again, this is top 10 of all time. Let me be very clear about that. And this is my personal list. So if there's a particular movie that's not on the list and you wonder why it's not, again, this is my personal list. So let me go ahead and get right into it. I will give just two honorable mentions. I'm only going to give two because I could go on all day giving movies that were close to making it to my top 10, but I'm just going to focus on two of them. The first one is Boy A, and this movie stars Andrew Garfield. Yes, that Andrew Garfield that played in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise, which flopped, basically. Okay, so this to me is his best performance to date. It's basically, I really don't want to say too much about it because it'll kind of give away some aspects of the plot that I'd rather not get into, but basically he was locked up at a young age, and now he's an adult now. He's back out in the real world, and he's just trying to adjust, but basically he's in hiding because of a crime that he did when he was very young. There are a lot of people that are still highly upset about it. And another thing that I like about it is that he does end up with the girlfriend in the movie, and she's a full figure gal, very pretty lady, and I just like that. I like that aspect of the movie, that they didn't go with the typical type of love interest. So yeah, this is a really good movie to check out. Like I said, that's my first honorable mention. The next one, you all probably are familiar with this because it's very recent. Whiplash, which stars Miles Teller. Yes, that Miles Teller that was in the horrible Fantastic Four movie, but don't worry about that. And J.K. Simmons, who won the Oscar for this movie, and it was very well deserved. And I'm hoping that there's not too much of a glare on these. I'm sorry if there is, but move it a little bit closer. Whiplash. Okay, J.K. Simmons is a beast in this movie. He really grabbed that Oscar, that Best Supporting Actor Oscar. It's a really intense movie, especially because of J.K. Simmons' character. And it's basically about, it is about a boy trying, and he's on a band, or a young man, I should say, that's in a band. It's a performance band, and they compete. And it's very intense competition. And to me, this movie really asks a great question: is how far is too far to push yourself for your artistry? That's really what the movie is about to me. So again, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to give anything away, but if you haven't seen Whiplash, you need to check it out. And by the way, the editing in this movie is incredible. I think that it was nominated as well for editing. I might be mistaken on that, but if it wasn't, it definitely should have been because it's really well edited as well. Okay, so like I said, those are just two honorable mentions. So let's go ahead and get into the top 10 here. And I do have a list over here. If you see me looking this way, that's what that's about, just to help myself out. The first one, and this is in pretty bad condition because I bought this pre-owned, but Sideways. Sideways, this actually probably could be higher on the list, but the way I put my list together is I just thought to myself, could it really replace anything that's higher up? So no, it ended up staying at the number 10, but it's a great movie. Paul Giamatti, Thomas Hayden Church, and Thomas Hayden Church, he at least won the Golden Globe. I'm not sure if he was Oscar nominated or not. Yeah, it did get several Oscar nominations, but they're both great in it. Paul Giamatti is actually one of my favorite actors, and I really like him in this. I think it's his best performance. He's a teacher and also a struggling writer, and he goes with Thomas Hayden Church character who's about to get married, so they go on this wine trip in Northern California. It's sort of like a last hurrah for these college friends, and it's really funny. This is a comedy, but it does have a lot of great dramatic moments as well. In fact, I'll say there's one little subtle moment that's my absolute favorite moment in the movie. It's when Paul Giamatti's character does a drunk dial, and I won't say any more than that. Definitely check this movie out. Like I said, great comedy and great for drama as well. Moving on here, I do have just one Spike Lee movie on my list, and Spike Lee, I wish he was still as good as he used to be. Honestly, it's been a long time since I really liked a Spike Lee movie, but this one, I'll go and show it to you. And if you've never heard of this movie before, you've never seen this artwork before. I know that might be kind of shocking there, but that's really the point of the movie. This movie is about, and again, if I didn't say the title yet, it's Bamboozled. The movie's called Bamboozled, and that really is a reference to Malcolm X, one of his speeches. This movie is really about how a lot of black people, especially in entertainment, are still cooning today. They're making buffoons of themselves. They're doing very negative things, putting out negative images of black people just to find success. So that's really a big focus of this movie. I will say one reason that this movie is not higher on my list is because of the acting. There are some people in the movie that are not really actors. Savion Glover is in it. He's a tap dancer, very talented dancer, not the greatest actor though. And also Damon Wayans, his accent that he chooses to use in this movie, it takes some getting used to. I understand why he did it. It's because he plays a man that is very out of touch with his blackness, with being an African American. Even though honestly, I'm not a big fan of the term African American. I won't even get all into why. But yeah, he's a black man that's just basically out of touch. So he does a really strange accent, and that takes some getting used to. And also the look of the movie, they filmed it with consumer over-the-counter digital cameras, so it has sort of an odd look that also takes a little bit of getting used to. But again, overall, this is a very impactful movie, and there's a montage towards the end that just really, it strikes me every time. I mean, just to see some of the old Looney Tune cartoons that were extremely racist, a lot of old blackface movies and stuff. It's really tough to see, but I think it's important to not ignore that history though. Okay, so again, as far as Spike Lee goes, I have to put that at my top of the list, but it's number 9 on my overall list. Moving on here. Okay, and I got to do this right here. Dude. The dude from, of course, Big Lebowski. If you've never seen Big Lebowski, you're really missing out. This is one of the Coen brothers' best movies. Definitely one of their best comedies. It's just funny from beginning to end. It's sort of a detective story, but with one of the worst detectives probably ever, because his character, the dude, he's just such a slacker. Jeff Bridges, he plays like the ultimate slacker in this movie, but it's so funny. And John Goodman also is one of my favorite actors. Such an underrated actor. I mean, he's getting more roles now, but he's amazing. I really think he should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor with this movie. That's how good he is. And it's unfortunate that the Academy, you know, and I know they're not the end-all, be-all of what constitutes a good performance, but it's a shame that they do overlook comedy sometimes, because I tell you, Jeff Goodman is amazing in this. And this is just an endlessly quotable movie. There are so many lines that are just great to quote from it. And by the way, and there's John Goodman's character there on the back, Walter. That's another pop figure I definitely have to get. I wasn't able to find one with a good paint job. I've seen it before, but the paint job was horrible. So hopefully I can track that down one day. Keeping it moving here. There is, and let me check to be sure here. I think there's one movie on my list that I don't actually have a copy of. Okay, we're not there yet, so I'll keep it moving. The next one here, Raising Victor Vargas. This is an independent film that I'm sure a lot of people have never heard of. I think it was available on Netflix for a while. I don't think it is right now though. But the reason I like this movie so much is basically a coming of age story about this young man here, and he's very interested in this young lady here, and I'm trying to be careful with my words. I really don't want to give away too much, especially with such a simple plot. But I like that it has a simple plot. It's sort of a simple coming of age story, but it's just one that really strikes me, and I could watch this movie again and again and again, and I've watched it plenty of times. And every time that I've played this for a friend or for company or whatever, they just fell in love with it. So I would say my favorite coming of age story. When I was younger, I used to watch a lot of these types of movies because, of course, I could identify with them. I was coming of age myself. I mean, I used to watch The Wonder Years like religiously. So yeah, this is just a really great movie, and it's very real. I mean, even though it stars teenagers, there is some foul language. It's a rated R movie and things like that. I mean, but it doesn't get too graphic or anything like that. But yeah, just a really good movie, and I really do identify with some things that this character has dealt with in this movie. Okay, now we are to a movie that I don't actually own. Unfortunately, I thought I had it. I must have lent it out to somebody and never got it back, and that's happened to me way too often, especially moving a lot. But it's, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Again, the title is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I don't think you'll be able to see this clearly on my laptop, but this movie stars Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. It's a more dramatic role for Jim Carrey, even though it is humorous as well. There's a lot of humor in the movie, but it's a more dramatic role for Jim Carrey, a very subdued role for him. And I'm surprised that, just how restrained he is in this movie. He does a great job, but Kate Winslet really steals the show to me. She's just so charming and so, she just really draws you in. There's really great moments in it, and the writing is incredible. It's by Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman wrote the screenplay, and he's amazing with this. There's so many layers to this movie, and even the side characters, this is something else I like about it. Even the small roles, everybody matters in this movie. There's really nobody in the movie that's wasted. Everybody matters in it. Some of the side characters are played by Kirsten Dunst, and I'm not even a fan of Kirsten Dunst, but I like her in this. This is definitely my favorite role that she's ever had. Mark Ruffalo, you all know him, the Incredible Hulk, or the Hulk. Okay, he's in it as well. Elijah Wood and Tom Wilkinson as well. Tom Wilkinson is a really amazing actor. So, yeah, incredible cast, incredibly well put together movie, and it's complex. You really have to put some thought into what's going on. And just to give you the basic plot, basically it's evolved around this science in which people's memories can be erased. So Jim Carrey's character and Kate Winslet, they had a relationship that went sour. So they basically, she did it first. She decided to erase the memories of the relationship. And then out of anger, he decided to do the same thing. So a lot of the movie is in his mind, of him like journeying through his mind and seeing these memories kind of wash away. And it actually goes sort of in reverse order from where the relationship was falling apart to back towards the beginning where things were good. And at the same time, in the real world, the story is progressing. So it's complex, but you can follow it. And like I said, it's funny, and it's also a very sweet movie. And to me, there just aren't enough great romantic movies out there. There really should be more. Okay, keeping it moving here, we're up to number 5 on my list. Next, Requiem for a Dream. This movie, if you listen to the music, the score in it, the score is amazing. And so many other movies, and especially for movie trailers, have basically used the music. They've used the music from this movie. It's amazing. In fact, Lord of the Rings, when Lord of the Rings was first being promoted, they used some of the music from this movie. And this is where it originally came from. So Requiem for a Dream is a movie basically about drug addiction. Each one of these characters is struggling with some sort of addiction. Again, an amazing cast here. Jared Leto is in it, who of course is about to play the Joker in Suicide Squad. Ellen Burstyn gives one of my favorite performances ever. I definitely teared up more than once watching this movie the first, second, third, fourth time, and so on. Even to this day when I watch it, it's a tough movie to watch, but it's still a very powerful movie to watch. And Jennifer Connelly's in it as well. She's excellent. And Marlon Wayans. I know some people are really not crazy about Marlon Wayans, and he's selling himself short by making these horrible movies that he's been making lately. And I know a lot of people didn't like him in G.I. Joe. I wish he would do more dramatic work, because Marlon Wayans, I'm telling you, is incredible in this movie. Definitely, he should do more dramatic roles. He does an amazing job in this movie. So, again, this is a movie about drug addiction, and Darren Aronofsky directed it. He also directed Black Swan, and his first movie was Pie, an independent movie that I didn't quite get into, but his directing style is really cool as well. So, yeah, definitely check out Requiem for a Dream. Like I said, just be prepared to cry, probably, but it's still worth it, though. Okay, next up here, and you might be surprised that this is a little bit lower on the list, and let me give you a big hint about what movie it is. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious whatever. I don't know. I don't remember it exactly. But you get the idea. Okay, and I do have Jules here from Pulp Fiction. I really would like to get Vincent Vega as well. I kind of slept on it. I should have went ahead and grabbed one. And now it's disappeared out of stores. But I'll track it down eventually. But yeah, Pulp Fiction. And yes, you're seeing VHS. kicking it old school here. Not like Jamie Kennedy, that would never be on my top 10. But yeah, Pulp Fiction, of course, is an amazing movie. I don't think I really have to explain why. I mean, it's incredible. But the only reason, I will explain one thing, the only reason that it's not higher on my list is that it does have some moments that drag. Quentin Tarantino, he's an amazing director, but he definitely indulges in his dialogue maybe a little too much at times, especially the scenes with Butch, the character Butch. Those scenes do kind of drag, like Butch riding in the cab, and then the time that he spends in the hotel with his girlfriend. Those scenes drag a little bit, but overall, you know, this is definitely a classic. And I just noticed something here. I never noticed this before. Samuel Jackson, Jules, he doesn't have his Jerry curl there. This must have been done later on for promotion purposes. But yeah, this is definitely a classic, and I don't really need to explain why. You all should know Pulp Fiction. Okay. Next up here, I have both the VHS, and then I also have it on DVD. And I do like that it has a commentary. I'm really into movies. When I was young, I've said this in a previous video, I really wanted to be a movie director. In some ways I still do, I guess. You know, I think it'd be amazing to direct a movie or a short film, something. But Swingers is just a classic to me. I like the commentary on it with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. And this is, again, a very quotable movie. You know, Vegas, baby, Vegas. Yeah. And the beautiful babies and all of that. And I love Vegas, so I really do like that they go to Vegas in the movie. It's just a great comedy, and at the same time, it's another movie I identify with. You know, I think a lot of us could identify with. Really, if you're not familiar with the movie, the main focus is on Jon Favreau's character. He's trying to become an actor. Same thing with Vince Vaughn. They're trying to become actors. And Jon Favreau, he's really holding himself back, not just career-wise, but just social life-wise, because he went through a bad breakup, a bad split, and he's really struggling with that. But yeah, this movie is just so fun, and it actually has little parodies of other movies. If you really pay attention, there are at least 3 scenes that parody other movies. So yeah, it's just really entertaining. This is another movie that I can watch over and over and over again. I never get tired of it. I love it every time. Okay, we're down to the top 2. Getting pretty serious now here. And again, going old school here, got the VHS of Fargo. Another Coen Brothers movie. That shows you how good the Coen Brothers are, because they are on my top 10 twice. So Fargo, another movie, like I said, I could watch this again and again. It has a lot of humor to it. It's a lot of dark humor to it, because it is, I mean, there's homicides in the movie and a lot of corruption, and it's about mainly a kidnapping plot. There's this guy that Jerry Lundegaard, who has his own wife kidnapped to get money out of her father. And I'll give away one thing about the movie to you. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to go ahead and give it away. For the longest time, I thought it actually was based on a true story, because it says that at the beginning of the movie. It's not based on a true story. The Coen Brothers just did that to make it feel more impactful, I guess, and to really strike at your nerves a little bit more. But even though it's not based on a true story, it's still a great movie. Frances McDormand, she stars in it as the police detective there, who is actually pregnant while she's working this case, which is, I mean, belly poked out, like 8 months or so pregnant, or it may not be that far along, but yeah, she's pregnant and she's still out there working. And it also has Steve Buscemi in it. I really like Steve Buscemi. In fact, he had a small role, just a little quick role in Pulp Fiction and some other movies that I really like. So yeah, Fargo, very entertaining movie. And I did buy it again. I got it from, I think, Walmart, because it has Raising Arizona along with it. But Raising Arizona, it's funny. It definitely is funny. But and John Goodman is in that as well. But yeah, Fargo is the reason that I really got this. Yeah, so that's enough about that one. And now we are finally down to my number 1 favorite movie of all time, regardless of genre. Goodfellas. Goodfellas, to me, Martin Scorsese has never topped this movie, and that's not to take away from other movies that he's done, because he's done a lot of other good movies. Wolf of Wall Street, The Departed, you know, he's done a lot of great movies, but Goodfellas is where it's at to me. It's just, And a lot of times, there's been times when I question, is this really my number one favorite movie? Then I go back and watch it again, and I'm just like, yes, it's amazing. Joe Pesci is a beast in this, and Joe Pesci, small guy, but it doesn't matter at all in this movie. Like, he's the toughest gangster in it. Robert De Niro is great. Ray Liotta is great. In fact, after I first saw this movie, Ray Liotta was one of my favorite actors for a long time, just on the strength of this movie. He's had some other good roles, but mainly on the strength of this movie. Even Samuel L. Jackson has a really small role in it. He did a lot of small roles before he blew up with Pulp Fiction. But Goodfellas is just a classic, definitely to me the greatest gangster flick ever. And I know some people may not agree with that. Some people might bring up other movies like The Godfather or The Godfather 2, but which I consider to be a gangster movie. Some people say mafia movie. It's the same thing in my book. But this movie to me is just amazing. And Martin Scorsese took some risk with this movie as well. He does things that are very unconventional, like the way that he used narration and switching up narrators at a point in the movie. And just the way he played with time, because he has some time jumps in there, and there are points where he slows things down. Like, I love the sequence towards the end of the movie where it basically takes place in one day. And it's a very hectic scene, a lot of energy to it. Great music choices as well that really drive the movie along. I just can't say enough about it. This is just a great movie, and it really deserves to be my number one. Okay. So, that is my top 10, regardless of genre. I kind of really wanted to talk about these movies even more, but I'm trying to keep this video somewhat short. I'm going to say this as well. I know that there are a lot of movies that didn't make my list, and you're probably wondering, well, don't you like this, don't you like that? But what I'm going to do is, this will probably be an ongoing series. Even though I started off with my top 10 all together, I want to do some top 10 lists based off of a genre. So I want to do horror, comedy, action. Action I'll probably split up into subcategories though. Like, I think I'll have maybe like the 80s type action, 90s type action films in their own list, and then maybe have comic book movies separate, and animated comic book movies definitely I want to do a separate list on that. And a lot of you probably already know what the number one is if you've really been watching my channel. I want to go across different genres, comedies, romantic movies, and this is something I'll keep going for a while. Of course, Halloween time rolls around, I got to do a horror list, and I'm already developing that in my mind. What are my favorite horror movies? So, yeah, I hope you like this video, and I would like to know what your top 10 movies are as well. If you decide to do a video, please let me know about it so I can check that out, because I'm really a movie lover. I don't watch as many, I'll say this, I don't go to the movies as much as I used to, just because I'm a lot more selective now about what I go to see. I used to go watch anything. I used to be in a theater, especially when I was in the military. I would go to the movies like every weekend, and I knew sometimes I was going to see a bad movie. I didn't care. So yeah, I'm definitely still a movie lover, but I'm just a little more selective now. But like I said, if you do a top 10 list, please let me know so I can check that out. More than likely, if I'm subscribed to you, I'll see it anyway. Or even down in the comments, if you just want to comment and let me know what's your top 10, or maybe what's your top 5, or just top 3. What are your favorite movies? I would love to hear that. I'd love to talk about the movies as well. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Like I said, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to check this out, and you all take care.